on our last beard trim, I mentioned that probably that this is how your clients would come in. I would have to put this one in that same category. And one thing that, and I don't remember if I actually did that or not because I don't want to assume anything. So, but this client comes in and he wants his beard trimmed, and all of this under here, he hadn't even been trimming that out anyway. So he's just been letting it grow. He wants to grow a beard, so he's just been letting this grow. Here again, you could do the same thing that we did on the last one about the design, whether we want to design it a certain way. But one thing for sure that we're going to have to do when he comes in is, if you're not going to be using any of the hair that's down on his neck for this beard trim, then you need to take your edger clipper and just go up underneath to that jawline right there where the jawline starts, and remove all of that unwanted hair that you're going to have down in there. Also right here on the sides, right here, you do the same thing. You come in here and clean that up in there, because you're going to have what I call that trash hair, a lot of long hair out here that's just hair. You want to get rid of all that. Do not take this clipper and turn it over and do this. Do not take this clipper and turn it over like this and do this. Because most of the time the hair is growing up on the neck and you're going to irritate it, and the next thing you know, it's going to be like he'll be trying to jump out of the chair. So take this clipper as it's supposed to be used. You hold it this way and you remove that hair all the way under the neck. As you turn him around, here again, we would tilt his head back. Sam, hold your head right there. You move his head over till you get to it, and you go underneath here and trim all of this hair out, and you continue on around on the other side and do the same thing. So now we have all of that out of the way so we can get a general idea of what he looks like. And this is what you'd have now once we remove this. Before now, he just looked trashy and it looked like unkept. Just by removing this hair, it's going to improve that beard appearance 80%. Now, it already is beginning to look good. So he might want to just kind of leave it natural like this and just shorten everything up as this is. And that's what we're going to do with this. Also, whenever we started, I mentioned to you about getting this hair out of the way. And now we need to determine whether or not, how much hair do we need to leave here for the haircut that he is either now wearing or we're going to cut. So we don't want to disconnect the hair on his head from the beard hair unless he has no hair in here. And a lot of times that's fairly common. Some guys can grow hair to the toes. Some guys, the hair just is very, thin in here. And it's hereditary. I mean, if the family on mother or father's side or both sides or whichever, they're very hairy people, then they'll probably have a full, the hair on the head and the beard actually runs together. A lot of times it's very thin in here. Same thing, you have a lot of people that's thin right in there, a lot of guys. So now we got this out of the way, got it cleaned up, and we've decided that the hair that we're going to cut here, we're going to leave it about, we're just going to cut it down like more or less a shadow. Now, I would suggest in this case, if that's what you're going to do, that you can use those of you that have the Oster clippers or a number 1 blade, and we can come in here and just take that hair off to that point. Right here, you want to take that clipper and tilt it out slightly right there and ride it out on the heel. This is the point of the clipper, this is the heel. We start at the point and we go to the heel and we create a slight arch. That way it blends with that. So this will be, and I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go cut the beard, and I'm going to design him a little goatee here while I'm at it. I'll have to move him around here. We'll do the same thing here. Here again, you got to visualize, I'm going to do a goatee. What am I need to do? I'd go to the corner of the mouth. You've got plenty of hair. Stop right there. Just take all of this off. And let me show you something. And I'm kind of doing this as I'm going along. You see what you could do here? How fancy do you want to get? You want the mustache to run over all the way over here and then cut all of this off and you just got a mustache line? You can do that. However creative you want to get with this thing, you can do it. And I wish I'd left more of that there. I saw that as I was doing it, and I said, you know, this is just one more style that you could offer. And if he really wants to get that fancy. So we have a handout, and actually it's in the book, my textbook, of all these various styles of beards, and some of them go back 100 years ago. And I've been in the business I have been in the business half a century. So I've seen a lot of things come back that I never thought would come back. So this stuff will be back. It's just a matter of when, and it should be any time now in your lifetime as a hairdresser. So and guess what? Those of us that are on the cutting edge will be the first to have stuff like this. And here again, a goatee would be something like this. So before you go whacking all the hair off of your mannequin, experiment with this stuff. So here we go with, I'm trying to see right here, we've got to get this on. So get creative. Once it's gone, and that's when I was getting ready to wipe it all off, and I shouldn't have done that. It's just, you have to envision shaving this. And if you can envision shaving this, you'd see what you created here. However, I'm just going to shave it off, and he's going to have a mustache left. And I say I'm shaving it off right now. I'm just cutting this off. And we're going to do just a mustache. More guys walk around with just mustaches than they do a beard. All right? Sam's already looking a lot better than he did. He looked like the Unabomber earlier. Now he's beginning to look like something. So instead of shaving him with lather, we're going to take this little edger, and now we're going to shave him out. And we are going to leave a mustache here for him. I'm going to leave that sideburn down about below the ear right there. So we'll have that to work with our haircut. One good rule of thumb that you need to get used to doing is I've seen students over the years, many students. This close clipper will not cut you if it's aligned properly. So if you just get in the habit before you ever put it on a client, take it, turn it over, put it on your arm, and see if it will cut you. I want you to note, I don't know if you can see this or not, but by putting it right here, you see that little line right there? But it's not cutting me anywhere. So you know that the blade is going to be cutting very close to the skin. It's better to nick yourself than nick the client. And if you get in the habit of doing that, you'll always have a clipper that's going to be doing the right thing. You'll have to look at your part on your clipper and clipper maintenance and how to take care of them. We cover all of that in that video. So you'll know how to adjust your clipper blades. Your clippers should not need anything done to them while you're in school, and if they do, then you'll know how to do it. But you pack them up and you unpack them, and because of that, they get tossed around a good bit. It would not happen if you were in a salon. Now, there's no way I can totally get rid of this beard because of the fact that it's plastic. Skin, if it was on this clipper right here would totally remove it if it was on a real person. So we're going to have the shadow look on it regardless. Now, I prefer using a tapering comb whenever I'm trimming the beard when it's real close, the mustache or any of the real close work. And if you notice that this is a tapering comb. This is actually called a barber tapering comb, and it's thin here and it's thicker on this end. So being it's thin right here and the fine teeth, you can get closer to the scalp or the skin, and with the fine teeth in there, it separates each individual hair, where the wider teeth and the bigger teeth will have a lot of hairs that will be right down in between the teeth. So this separates the hair out and will give you more of a precise trim or cut. So you know exactly what you're cutting. And I'm using just the point of the shears here to trim the mustache out. And you know, you will, once you start using the various tools, you're going to discover which works best for you. But it's a whole lot more professional whenever you are actually, turn this, when you're actually using the shear instead of that clipper. The more work you do sometimes with the clipper in like beards or even the haircuts, that's why we're not going to issue guards anymore. We call them the cheater, and we call them the cheater for a reason. You're cheating. So if the client finds out that all he needs to use, and I blame hairdressers all over the world for this, hairdressers and barbers, whoever does hair, period, doesn't matter. You know, you want a number 1 on top, a number 2 on the top, and a number 1 on the side. Well, you know, my theory is that why don't you just go ahead and sell him a pair of $20 clippers and tell him you can cut your own hair, you don't need me. Because that's exactly what's happening, that's exactly what you're doing. Why should I go pay $15, $20, $25 for a haircut whenever I can take a guard and put it on the clipper and cut my own hair at home? I hope you get the point I'm trying to make there. So the more professional you can be of using your tools without using those guards. The other thing that I was doing a while ago, and you know, it was more so when I had the long hair, I was going with the big end of the comb, and then I'd flip it to the little end. You need to practice this. In phase 1, you got a lot of time to be walking around. When you're walking around, you should have a pair of shears in your hand and a comb in your hand. And it would probably be easier for you to use the all-purpose comb, which is a little bigger, to keep you from dropping it. And you're going to drop it. You're going to drop it a lot because you don't want to learn to clutch that comb tight in your hand. As you're combing through hair, you'll be able to feel it. The lighter you hold that comb, the more you can feel any scars or moles or bone structure just as lightly as you're doing it. A good hairdresser can actually comb through a head of hair and tell you everything that's on the scalp because they have learned to get that touch just right, and they don't go whacking through there and, wow, I ran into a problem here. What is it? Oh, she's got a weave. I mean, it's like, hello, you didn't know that to start with? So you just don't do that. And I've actually seen and had, I used to sell a lot of hair replacements, and the man would have a hair replacement on. And he'd come in and said, you know, I had this hair piece for 3 or 4 years, and I went to a barber downtown, and next thing I know, he was cutting the hair off of it. That thing doesn't grow. And when he walked in the door, I knew he had it on. And you'll learn to have a trained eye to spot something's not right about that hair. And when you learn that, then you know when they sit down to start looking for it and checking it out. And I always told my clients that wore a hair extension or replacement or whatever it was, that anytime you go out of town and you have to have some service done, make sure when you sit down in that chair to tell them that they have on a hair piece or there's so many different types of hair, and tell them that before they go whacking on it. So learn to do this, and you practice on this. And this is going to take care of this. We've left enough here now. From here on down, we'll just be shaving this off. And we're not getting into the shaving end of it, so we'll not be teaching you how to shave a man's face. However, you know, all you got to do is go down one more section. That's going to be a straight razor or either a blade, and you just wipe it off now. I hope you've enjoyed this session. Your instructor will be assisting you along the way. You're gonna have to prepare your mannequin first, but good luck to you. Thank you.